never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, there I am, poking my head down the bottom again. I'll try and get myself in the right place. There you go. And I'll remove that very annoying name because I hate it. Don't hate the name, just hate seeing it up there. How are you, folks? Happy freaking Friday to you. Got to be chuffed with a Friday, I guess, unless you're working over the weekend. That can be a bit of a pain in the bum. But if that's not you, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I don't know what the weather's going to be like where you are. Here, I think it's just going to be hot, but you'd expect that where I am this time of year. Other places, very dry. In fact, went for a bit of a drive today. Southeast Queensland is very, very dry. I don't know that it's quite tinder dry as some parts of Victoria, New South Wales, and I dare say South Australia are, Western Australia, Northern Territory. There is still some green bits around Southeast Queensland, but boy, it's drying out very, very quick. And, well, depending on how well the state government in your state has been able to keep up funding to the CFA or your version of it, then might depend on how many houses get saved over the, well, fire period still ahead of us. And there is a significant fire period still ahead of us. So if you are in those sorts of areas and you don't know much about preparing for fires, then I urge you to go and contact your local CFA, clean up around your property, make sure there's a bit of a fire break around things you want to keep, and good luck. It's certainly a horrifying thing. And Laura was telling me she wound up driving through some of the fired areas in Western Victoria last week on her drive down to Victoria. And she said that it's quite amazing the devastation that has happened. That's in an area just outside of Ballarat, and very, very significant fires. A lot of people lost property damage, more than houses, I think, but a lot of outbuildings and all that sort of thing. And of course, a lot of stock had to be put down. Stock don't always burn in a fire. They suffer from smoke inhalation just like humans do. And of course, our current government would like you to, I don't know, go around and put these animals down with a slingshot because they don't believe that you need to have anything more powerful. And trust me, a 22 caliber whatever isn't much more powerful than slingshot. In fact, there are more powerful slingshots available on the market. So maybe you could put that, you buy one of those slingshots with some of the profit you are making out of your silver. Although if you're looking at the charts at the moment, you're probably pulling your hair out going, oh my God, it's dropped, it's carrying on. Well, it certainly has dropped today, and I'll just bring this up for you. Prepare yourself. There's a lot of red in this chart. This is a 4-hourly chart that we're looking at. The most damage has happened in the last couple of hours. You can see that there have been some dramatic, those big red lines. They are pushbacks today. You can see the green lines beside them have been the fight back for the silver price. It has been continually going up until a little while ago, where it's now hit 3 consecutive periods of selling, so to speak. And that has brought the price down to $104 an ounce, or 148. It's just dropped down from 150 Australian. That's down from, well, you know, yesterday, what we were talking yesterday, it was 158, 168, 169, 170. So it has dropped quite significantly. Don't go pulling your hair out. I said to you last night that after chatting with Michael from Ainsley Bullion yesterday morning, he said there will be a pullback coming, and don't be at all surprised to see that it's 20 to 30%. Well, that's sort of what we're seeing. Will that continue for the rest of tonight, overnight, and early into tomorrow when the markets close for the weekend? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But don't fret. Don't fret. Don't think, oh, God, because, you know, if you've gone out and bought in the last week, you've probably bought at something along the lines of better than 140 an ounce, and probably anywhere up to $170, $180 a coin or more. And now you're seeing this huge drop off. Don't sweat it. The market will bounce, and all indications are that will happen sooner rather than later. And why? Well, because regardless of what these figures you're seeing on the screen say, they don't really mean much. You see, these figures are all devised and derived from the Western financial system, the paper financial system. So what you're seeing here is a battle of paper more than anything else. The physical price of silver is still right up there. I haven't had a look at Ainsley at the moment, but I'd be amazed if you could buy an ounce of silver for sort of less than $160 still. That's because the physical price of the silver is, well, there's more demand for the physical than there is for the paper. And when supply and demand come together like that, you know what happens. So don't worry, it'll come back. And it may well come back with a vengeance. If you look at the charts and you expand them out, you will see that these bounce backs tend to be quite vicious when they happen too. So when the floor is reached, and I would say, Vince and I were talking about this a little earlier today, that floor could be around 102, 103 US dollars. Then it might go lower. So, but don't sweat it, folks. Don't think, oh God, I've lost all this money. At the end of the day, this is what the markets do. And what do they say? Ride the bull. So at the moment, it's looking more like a bear, but don't worry, the bull is still there in the background, folks. Don't sweat it. You will be much better off in the long run for the investments that you have made. I am very confident of that. In fact, I'm relying on it for basically my life. So fingers crossed we see something good coming out of it all. I should say hello to everybody on a Friday night. Who was in first in? Aussie Sue was first in tonight. God love you, darling. You've been doing a bit with family and friends over on the island recently. I've seen a few lovely photos coming from your part of the world. And yes, if you would, folks, please remember to like and share. It is very important to our algorithm. And subscribe if you can. Now, speaking of subscribing, I know a lot of you have helped me. You've helped a vast number of people who we've been able to help collectively through Voice of Freedom. One of the areas where we've been trying to help, obviously, is the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. Now, you might remember some months ago, a lot of months ago, we started talking about raising money for a new transport for the donkeys, a new trailer, so to speak, or a float. It needed to be of a certain design, shape, and all that kind of thing, and they turned out to be quite expensive. So a GoFundMe page was put up, and money has been being put into there by you good people and many others over time. And what I can tell you is that I think it was meant to happen today, but I haven't got a photo of it. So it might happen tomorrow. But there is a new donkey float arriving at the sanctuary either today or tomorrow. So thank you to everybody who contributed to help make that happen. It's a very important piece of equipment for the donkey sanctuary. They have obviously had a couple of floats previously, but they are very knocked about. They're very old, and now at a point where they're potentially dangerous to the animals if they get moved in the wrong direction, or they rock around or bump into a rusty edge or something like that. So they're no longer usable. This new one is going to be fabulous. I think you can put up to 4 donkeys, might be more, might be 5 donkeys in this thing. So it's going to be a great benefit to the Donkey Sanctuary. So to everybody who contributed, thank you so much on behalf of Sandy and Baz and everybody involved with the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, not the least of which is 108 donkeys who hopefully will never have to go for a ride in it now that they've got their forever home thing happening. So fingers crossed. But yes, thank you to everybody who has contributed in some way, shape or form. And that could also have been by buying a ticket in our lottery. Of course, we share the prize money with the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. So every little bit helps. And we've got a new raffle running at the moment, or a new lottery running at the moment, $750 up for grabs. You could buy yourself a little bit more silver on us with that, couldn't you? So $2 is all it costs for a ticket. You can buy a maximum of 20 tickets, and merch.vofhq.com is the number to be, the website to be checking out. I had this up at the front of the show, the Voice of Freedom Carnival Cruise, which is happening May 4 to 8. We're going to depart Brisbane, head to Airlie Beach. I have secured a table at the Whitsunday Sailing Club, which looks really nice, sitting on a point sort of overlooking Airlie Beach and all that sort of stuff. I have secured a table there for people if we want to go and have a lunch. For those folks who are up north in Airlie and around that area, Proserpine, I know there's a few folks there who watch us. So if you are interested, you can meet us there. I think it'll be on the 6th of May. I want to say it might be the 5th, 4th overnight. Might be the 6th of May, I think. At any rate, I'll let you know as soon as I know closer to the date. Now, if you are coming and you haven't already paid for your room on board the Carnival, I don't know what ship, Explorer, I want to say, but I could be wrong, then you must do so by, I'm pretty sure it is February 14. That'd be Valentine's Day, wouldn't it? So you got to have your room paid for by the 14th. Otherwise, they're going to cancel your booking and you won't be coming with us. But for those of you that are coming with us, and I know it's going to be quite a little crowd. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great 4 days away with some wonderful people. So really look forward to having you amongst it all. And there is some whispers going around that Tony might be coming up from Melbourne for the trip as well. So we might make him our cameraman on the boat. Get him working. Anyway, if you want to come, we would love to have you. And those are the details. If you want to get a hold of Annette, you can call her pretty much any time. But make sure you use that extension number to get a hold of Annette. And then just say you want to be part of the Voice of Freedom group. She's trying to put us all together-ish somewhere. So look forward to seeing you on there. It should be a bloody great time. I really can't wait. Right, so I was saying hello to everybody in the comments. There is still quite a few things I want to get through tonight. What a wonderful man you are. Good to have you in the place, in the house, Greg. And I hope you guys are doing all right up there on the island, not getting blown away or washed away or too badly. Daniel, Canberra must be treating you well. I hope so. G'day, Macca and Deb. Tony is in the house. Good to see so many of our regulars popping up on a Friday night. Hello, Katrina. Good to see you in there too. And so many others. I'm just sort of scrolling through trying to catch names. G'day, Jen, Toxic. And if I've missed you, I'm terribly sorry. Addie. There's a few others. G'day, Pete from Pinaroo. Hopefully it's got a little bit cooler than it has been the last few days over your part of the world. Over 50 degrees. Over 50 degrees, some of the images that Pete was sending me the other day. And sort of 42 degrees in the shade. Really unpleasant. But it is summer in Australia, and it is the kind of thing that I remember as a kid being very hot. Now, I grew up in the Wimmera of Victoria, so it's always been bloody hot as far as I've known. All right, let's go on with the fun things that have been happening to end the week. And there have been some fun happenings in politics, haven't there? Yawn. Well, on the positive side for some people, it looks like this funeral director is going to be allowed to keep leading the Liberal Party at this point. Now, apparently there was a meeting between Angus Taylor and Andrew Hastie prior to a funeral in Melbourne yesterday, where no doubt they got their heads together and counted their numbers. And my guess is that Taylor had more numbers, or the power brokers of the Liberal Party put their 20 cents worth in and worked out a deal. I don't think that there'd be too much opposition to me saying that Andrew Hastie has been for some time, and will continue to be the great hope of Liberal Party leadership. He will be the next supposed great leader the Liberals will produce. However, he may not be the bloke that they need to lead the party to the next election, or the woman. Do we really think Susan Ley will be standing there at the next election? I don't. I don't think she has any hope. I think the Liberal Party are allowing her to stay as leader at this point in time simply because it looks like they would be acquiescing to the demands of the Nationals, who are a much more inferior-sized party. And it can't ever be made to look like the tail is wagging the dog. And in this case, the dog is pushing back. So the Liberal Party schemers, I was going to say are smart people, but they're not. They're not. They are not in touch. They are too deeply inside their own little box and thinking that's the whole world. They have very limited ability to look outside that box and look a good distance down the track. But it appears that somebody in that meeting yesterday did have a little bit of that foresight, and they were able to convince Andrew Hastie to step down from any leadership challenge. Might have been because he didn't have the numbers. It might have been because Taylor had more, or it might have been because it's easier to sacrifice someone like Angus Taylor into the leadership now, because that is what going into the leadership of the Liberal Party now is. It's a sacrifice, or in fact, it's two sacrifices. They're going to sacrifice the funeral director you see there, and then they're going to sacrifice whoever takes her place. Unless that person somehow manages to grow a personality, gain a public wave of support that will drag everybody who's so far swayed towards One Nation on the Conservative side back towards the Liberal Nats. And I don't think there's anybody there that can do that. And I think to put Andrew Hastie up now would be to sacrifice him at the next election. And I don't think the Liberal Party want to do that. They actually do believe he's going to be a strong leader and a prime minister one day. And he may well... I don't think I'd be happy with it. I'm sure I wouldn't be. There are too many things I'm not happy about. And while I respect him and thank him deeply for his service to Australia in the army and in the special forces, some of his actions and some of his stories, I think, have shown us the true character of the man, and it's certainly not an honourable character. The way that he's been assassinating, in a metaphoric sense, he's been assassinating brother warriors from the Special Air Service. And I don't think he deserves to lead our nation because he's got some mates in the media that he'd like to funnel some information to, who then go ahead to make up huge stories to embarrass our government into doing stupid and irrational things against the brave men and women who decide to serve our nation in their uniform. I'm amazed that there is any loyalty at all in the Australian Defence Forces to the Labor government, or the Liberals for that matter. I am amazed that there is any loyalty at all. You've had your medals stripped from you, all to placate a baying public who really don't know what they're baying at unless the media tells them, oh, bark at this, or bay at that, or complain about this, or whinge about that. They're not smart enough to figure it out themselves. The vast majority of them being well jabbed, of course, so they stopped thinking some years ago. But those people in the military must know that there is some deep issues in our government and in the way that our government reacts with our military, with our police, and most of all with our people. Will we be able to get some support from the military? Yes, I think we will. I think they are slowly waking up. Because a government that would turn on the military, a government that would not protect, a government that would smear one of the most highly decorated soldiers, one of the bravest men this country has ever produced. And I say only one because there are many, many brave men and women who fight for this country and don't get awarded medals. There are many men and women who put themselves in harm's way almost on a daily basis, and the best they get is a little ribbon that says they served somewhere. Now, I'm not taking it away from Ben Roberts-Smith or any of the other VC recipients out of our actions in Iraq and Afghanistan. These are terribly, terribly brave men who have done exceptional, almost superhuman feats to protect their brothers while in an action. And I would commend you or recommend to you all, go and read the after-action reports for every one of the men that received a VC out of Afghanistan or Iraq. Those after-action reports tell you what they did, what they were witnessed to do, and what bravery it took to do it. And then ask yourself whether or not you could do it. Ask yourself whether or not Andrew Hastie could do it. Sure, he used to wear the uniform, but he spent a lot of time in an office. Is there a bit of jealousy floating around? I don't know. I don't really care if it's jealousy or not. I just think he's a sick bastard for trying to, bring down our military. And I don't know why our military would pay any respect or loyalty to a Labor or Liberal government, because they've both done it to them. The people respect our military. The people love our military. The people will protect our military. We just ask for the same protection in return, to protect us from the tyrants. And they are bloody everywhere. All right, let's get into some of the sick news that's been going on. A Jewish man has been charged over alleged threats to kill a minority group. This happened in, I think it was Sydney. A Jewish man has got on the phone and has repeatedly abused, made threats, and carried on like the proverbial pork chop. He was arrested. He was taken before a magistrate, where the magistrate said, "I really can't believe you're Jewish, carrying on the way that you are, saying the things that you've said, behaving the way that you behaved. I'm shocked that you're Jewish." He's going back to court in a couple of weeks. We'll try and figure out how that all pans out, but I have no doubt he'll have a very good lawyer. Speaking of very good lawyers, if you see this bastard, run, I think would be the best advice. Now, this African gentleman, a Sudanese man who has moved to Australia some years ago with his entire family, wound up in Tasmania. In 2018, he raped a 76-year-old woman, nearly killed her. He was caught, but he wasn't caught in Tasmania. He managed to escape to Victoria, where he committed more sexual abuse crime, and he managed to get to Queensland on bail. He was at the time for these offences as well, can I just tell you, and others. 2 assaults and another 3 rapes, I think it was. And it's alleged that certainly one of those rapes was committed in Queensland. So this bloke got 8 years in a Tasmanian jail. He's got out of Risdon and disappeared. The judge let him out on parole. But before letting him out on parole, the judge made it very clear that that particular gentleman has an exceptionally high risk of reoffending. He is a violent sexual offender. He has observed traits of talking to and then trying to manipulate females in particularly female prison officers and associated other things. The judge has put forward a high maintenance care order on this bloke that he must be monitored. He must be watched. He is a significant and high risk of reoffending. Why did he get let out? Oh, nice. Why did he get let out? Why would you put this bastard on bail? Why would you let him out on parole? Why would you do anything? So now there are calls to deport him. So here is the problem, people, and I'm very keen to hear suggestions on how do we care? He moved out here with his immediate family, mum, dad, sister, brother, whoever else. But he could quite easily be deported back to Somalia, where it could be argued he doesn't have any family or family he hasn't seen in 15 years or whatever. This is a 27-year-old man who is going to keep offending, who is going to do whatever he likes, whenever he likes, to whomever he likes. That could be your nana. That could be your mother. That could be your sister. It could be your daughter. So how do we, the people, make sure that scum like that, the filth, aren't allowed back into our community? Because Labor have made it quite clear, as have the Liberal Party, that they're happy to let them back into the community. Oh, we'll give them a second chance. Oh, we'll give them a third. Oh, we'll give them a fourth. Oh, we'll give them a 15th chance. That'll be fine. And what if this snide little 27-year-old prick who is such a he-man that he can go and beat up 76-year-old ladies and rape them, what if he's got no family back in Somalia? Do we care? He's already figured out his future. He's going to rape and steal his way through life. He's going to cause harm to others and do whatever he wants. Oh, he's only a young man. All right, you take him in. You be responsible to look after him until such time as the community feels safe to let him walk around amongst us. How can a judge say, oh, yes, I'll give you parole, and then slap all of these orders on him that he has to be monitored, he has to be this, he's got to report there, blah, 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 and now he's gone missing? So, folks, if you happen to see this young bloke, well, I'll leave it up to you to figure out what you think is the best course of action there. Should the Australian people pay for an airfare back or a private funeral somewhere? I don't know. These people are not welcome amongst us. These people come from third world countries and have not deliberately, in my opinion, have not assimilated. How hard can it be to assimilate to a country where you can walk down to the shops and get whatever you like? Okay, you need money. Okay, maybe that's harder to come by. And okay, in certain parts of this nation, particularly Victorianistan, it's easier to go and rob, easier to go and steal cars, make a few bucks that way, develop a network so you can start stripping the cars, selling the parts, or shipping them overseas. Or you can be like what they're doing in Minnesota and start daycare. Well, the daycare thing couldn't happen here in Australia, but what has happened here in Australia is NDIS. And the rorting of the NDIS system, folks, will pin your ears back. The figures, which nobody is going to release to us anytime soon, I can tell you, but I have a bit of an idea because I have a couple of people who work inside the system and are happy to talk about it. And It is staggering. The orders that are coming or have been coming previously from the higher ups, which have been pretty much essentially throw as much money as you can at these people. Don't investigate them. If they spend all the money that you give them today and they ring up tomorrow, give them more money. Don't ask them what they've done with it. Don't ask them to prove anything. Don't ask them nothing. Just keep handing it out. There was a point where we were handing out, and the NDIS were told to hand out $2 million a day per office. Now, I'm not sure how many NDIS offices there are around the country. I think 3, maybe 4. These are hubs where all that sort of thing's controlled. $2 million a day, each of them. Yep, give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away. Well, somebody has been appointed with half a brain at least, and they are putting the brakes on. There are a number of investigations finally taking place, but are these investigations actually going to go all the way to prosecution? Probably not, because if it does, it looks like, and it eventually has to look like, a level of supreme incompetence from the government and those people they put in charge of the NDIS. And yes, there are many, many, many people who have come from countries overseas and started a business caring for others in their community who need this support. I read an article recently where a 27-year-old man has made $1 million in a year out of the NDIS as a provider. Explain to me how this is possible. Because I didn't believe a word of it coming through what I read today. Or maybe that's the problem. Maybe what I read today is so incredulous that you can't believe it, but it might actually really be the issue. Frightening. Absolutely friggin' frightening. And there is no sign of it ending. Our courts are not looking after the people. The government isn't looking after the people, whether it be that state or federal. The military are happy to go on just saying, oh, well, can we get a new missile, or shit, buy back the Port of Darwin, or the Chinese are going to come, or they're making all sorts of weird noises, but we're not really achieving anything. And the military are sucking up the asshole government that would turn on the military in a heartbeat, take all your medals off you, publicly humiliate you, your unit, your arm of the Defence Force. Why? Well, because the Labor Party has no respect for you. The Liberal Party have probably fractionally more respect, but only a little bit. And the National Party, about the same. One Nation have a great deal of respect for our soldiers and the people. The people have the most amount of respect for the Australian Defence Forces. The people pay for the Australian Defence Forces and are happy to pay for it for the most part. What they're not happy is that we don't get any love and support back from them. We get an air show occasionally. The roulettes turn up. Woohoo! No, Bill Shorten is no longer in charge of the NDIS. He was rolled out of that job when he left government. So he retired, was it before the last election, and got himself a job as the Vice Chancellor of bullshit at Canberra ANU. So he is wigged up, gowned up, and banged up. Probably a bad way of putting it. Influencing young minds in one of our higher learning institutions, one of our highest learning institutions in the country. How fucking scary is that? Bill Shorten advising young minds. I would be very careful of any student coming out of ANU that has had anything to do with a course with Bill Shorten. because they will come out with the ability not just to speak with forked tongue, it'll be a quad forked tongue. That bloke could tell 4 lies at the same time and not move his mouth. Absolute prick of a human being. Filth of the highest order. Speaking of filth of the highest order, let me just see if I've got that here. Oops, I may have downloaded them in a different file, like that one. No, not that one. There are some truly awful sites happening in the world at the moment. A lot of those sites are in Europe. The UK at the moment, and when I say the UK, I guess I am referring in particular to London. London at the moment is absolutely disgusting. It's the only way I can really describe it. It is beyond filth. It is a third world country, which you would be lucky to recognize your fellow countrymen in. Now, there are quite a number of things that are going on that are disturbing to see. I'm going to play you one of them right now. This is a subway station in London. There's a woman on the ground surrounded by African men. I'm sorry, I find that too difficult to watch. What I cannot abide is there wasn't one man who stepped in to help. Not one person who would cross the train tracks. White, black, brindle, blue. I don't care what color you are. That is absolute filth. Well, no. This is absolute filth. This, my friends, is London. On your average Wednesday night. Now, I'm only saying this as a matter of interest. How many white bombs can you spot in this video? Because I've looked at this video a few times, and I don't think I see a native bomb in it anywhere. Now, this is one video of dozens I've got active over different parts of London. These people have come from their shithole in Africa and been given every opportunity, which is what everybody thought they wanted. I'll bring them here. We'll give them a house. We'll give them this. We'll give them that. We'll give them everything else. And what do these people do? They shit in the streets and they leave their rubbish in the streets, and they could not give a flying turd about the new country they've moved into. They show no respect for it. What they do want is your money and your house. And Australia is heading exactly the same way. You might have heard that there is a new virus coming out. It's called Nipah virus. It's been discovered in India, of all places. This is a virus that comes from bats, and if bat secretions wind up on food that a human eats, you can get this Nipah virus, if the bat happens to have it. Now, I read this story a couple of days ago, and at that stage, there were 3 Indians who had been registered as having caught this Nipah disease. They came from a regional, very regional part of India, in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, well, won't be long. People travel, probably get a bit of a warning come out of India in the next few days about it. No, No, we're not hearing anything. The Australian government aren't saying anything about it at all. And they are importing by tens of thousands, almost daily, people from India. Bali caught wind of the fact that, something was coming out of India, and they have already instigated COVID lockdown type screening at the airports on the way in. I would ask, is the Australian government screening all the new immigrants that have taken up the deal that they've been offered by the Australian government to come and live in this country from India? Have each of them, before getting on a plane, have they had a test to prove they are not a carrier of Nipah virus? I think we all know the answer to that. No, because the Australian government's level of incompetency is way up here, and their level of caring for the community is way down there. Is that something we should be forcing our Australian government to do? Should we be calling on Pauline, because she's the only one who seems to be listening to the people at the moment? Should we be calling on Pauline to bring this up, to make this happen, to make sure that anybody coming from the subcontinent or via a Cretaceous route have to be checked, have to supply a clear medical before they get on the plane to come to Australia? If they get to Australia and don't have it, they get off the plane, they go into a detention room, and they get put back on the next plane going back to Mumbai. Will the Australian government protect the Australian people? No fucking way. People, I know you lot don't. It's the ones that don't watch us that we need to convince. But I know you lot understand it. But how do you make those people around you understand it? Maybe fear. It worked so well before. Why don't we put the fear of Nipah virus into the normies and force the government to protect the people of this nation? Although at the rate of importing from the subcontinent right now, there is every chance that we've already got 250 people carrying the virus in the country. And that'll be such a shock when it comes out in the news next week, won't it? Like hell. Looks like it's planned to me. We've even got the head of all things vaccination in Australia at the moment. He'd like to be here just to see how it all works, I'm sure. Bill Gates is currently swanning around the Australian Open. Can only hope he cops a tennis ball to the side of the bloody head. But we all have these vain sort of hopes. We'll see how it goes. I'm disgusted that we are at this point, folks, where it is clear our government is not working for the people. They couldn't give a shit about we the people. And yet we the people, for whatever reason, will turn up at the next election and, as per programming, vote Liberal or Labor. I hope now, we said it before the last federal election, but I hope now people will finally wake up to the fact that you cannot expect change by voting for either of the uni parties. And this is why exciting times happen when Pauline Hanson's popularity is now through the roof. One Nation is above the Liberal Nationals and now polling above Labor Party as the desired leaders of the nation. This is something that has never happened in the history of this nation. There has never been a third wheel party gain that sort of traction to become a force. This should show you that the Labor Party and the Liberals have lost sight of everything to do with the people and the good of this country, and they are only interested in the corporate global view. Exciting times ahead. Really exciting times ahead. Well, how long have I got? Another 15 minutes or so. there was an interesting arrest in New South Wales. This piece of filth, a former police officer, if you don't mind, has been arrested and charged on a number of very, very, very bad child abuse material allegations. When arrested, they took a mobile phone. I think they searched his place and found computers and maybe another mobile phone. And some of the videos and images that they found on that phone were the most sickening that have ever been seen by police. There are a number of satanic references, a number of satanic rites, allegedly, that have been filmed with children from 3 to 12 years of age being abused in the worst ways. Now, that's only one copper, folks. Also charged yesterday was a Sydney lawyer, also charged similar sorts of charges, child abuse material on phones, sharing, being part of a club, a child abuse club. There was a policeman a couple of weeks ago who was arrested for the same kind of thing, kept pretty quiet in New South Wales, probably lost in all the hoo-ha of what was going on with the Bondi shooting, and you couldn't hear any other news over the wailing for 3 weeks. That's changing. Every other day, there appears to be new arrests of pedophiles. So I'm grateful that there seems to be some things like that happening. But is there enough protection, as Pipe Master says there? You've got to protect the children. Are they going to be able to protect the children? I don't know. But they're going to try and do it all sorts of different ways, and digitally will be one of those ways. The Australian government is very well aware that having data is knowledge. With knowledge, you can plan, manipulate, program. So our Australian government, not being very bright, and I'm talking specifically of Albanese and I guess previous Liberal governments to a point, but this one is very definitely at Labor's feet. Labor have, in the last 12 months, since Donald Trump was elected, Labor have decided to all of a sudden get our future fund. That is the fund that's been set up to future-proof Australia. We're going to have money in there, and we'll be able to, give everybody a bonus when the stock market breaks, because that's what they did with the last super fund. Remember, everybody got $1,000 and forgot that the world was falling apart because the bloody governments are friggin' useless and are just robbing the people. Oh, here's your bribe. Buy a new television. Go down, make Jerry Harvey a very, very, very wealthy man. Because that's where all those bonus money went. And how many years did you get a bonus for the government just for being you? How wonderful it was to be you. I didn't get those bonuses, all right, because I don't stick my hand up. I don't like the government knowing too much about me or what I'm doing. But I'm not prepared to stick my hand up and take their money in that regard. And I don't blame you for doing it if you did. You've paid for it. It's your money. You contributed to it. But what's it done for this country? Nothing. It's made us all a bunch of people dependent on government. Over 50% of this nation is dependent on the government, be that because they work in the public service or they're being paid by the public tit, meaning the dole, a pension, a disability, a whatever. 50% of our nation. And we're importing a whole bunch of people from a third world country that cannot fucking work. It has to stop. It has to stop. And once again, you cannot blame the people who are coming in on the generous bribe that Albanese and his dumb fuck mates have offered them. Albanese has only thrown open our nation's doors because of the money these people bring in. Without that money coming in, Australia would be completely stuffed. Albanese would have to go and raise more taxes, and trust me, they're going to. But right now, they don't care how many people they bring into the country because every one of them comes with a bit of money or comes with a debt that the government can hang over them. It is purely disgusting. And now, just to make our future so much safer, the government has decided to put over $100 million into Palantir. Palantir is a data gathering organization, a global organization that helps governments extract huge amounts of data from their people and then allows them to do all sorts of things with it. So Australia, prior to Donald Trump being elected, didn't really get into this very much. We didn't think we'd go and support Palantir at all, really. But Donald Trump gets in, and the Labor government all of a sudden, to look good and get on board with them, have found $100 million to stick in from our future investment fund. What's this going to amount to? Well, I think it's going to amount to $100 million of them sticking their nose into your business. So we have shares in the future fund. It's a global business that we have shares in, by the way. But it, manages $252 billion on behalf of the Australian government. What could possibly go wrong there? I am going to try very hard to get somebody who knows a lot more about Palantir on to have a chat, because this is the spider web, folks. It is the web that reaches into every part of our existence, and anytime you touch that piece of the web, they'll know everything about you. And that little touch will be transmitted back and added onto a file that will be accessible to anybody who has the money to pay for it. It's a frightening time coming ahead, folks. It might be great. You might be making a bit of money with your silver, but don't for one moment think that it's all snowy ahead. There's a lot worse to come. And while you might have a few bucks in your pocket with silver to play with it, or gold, they may not help. There's all sorts of weird shit going on. A couple of little things to close off on tonight. I had two interesting things thrown my way. Now, this is coming from a couple of Hebrew University professors. What is happening in Gaza is not Auschwitz. However, it is of the same family, a crime of genocide. After the war is over, we will be forced to look at ourselves in the mirror. It will reflect back to us a society that committed this terrible act in Gaza, a genocide that will stain Jewish history from now on and forever. I like to say that not all Jews are bad, folks, and that is a classic example of some really good Jews who've understood that what has played out in Gaza has been a genocide. They are not following the Talmud, these two. They are not following the Zionist leaders of that country, and in fact, by the sounds of it, are very keen to expose them and to hold them to account. We can only hope. There was also something else that came across my desk today, which I thought was interesting only in that there seems to be a lot of talk about mass murderers and all weird shit going on at the moment. And one of the biggest mass murderers in history, I think you would agree, was Hitler. He's been nailed as one of the greatest mass murderers in history. Certainly not the only one. Lenin, I think, was another one. There were tyrants all over the world who've killed, from hundreds to tens of thousands to millions of people. But I wonder whether or not you've ever heard of this bloke. Now, this guy is a Bolshevist Jew. His name was Yagoda. He was in charge of an army that slaughtered 10 million white Russians, Christians. He's missing from the top mass murderers in the world list, because it doesn't look good to have him on there. He's one of the main reasons that Hitler came into power, out of fear that Germany would fall into the hands of the Bolshevik communists, led by that bloke. So why is it that we've never heard of this Jewish guy who killed 10 million Christians? Are you aware that the Jews don't really rate Jesus Christ? Right? He's not God. God hasn't come yet in the Jewish faith. Jesus Christ is an interloper. Christianity is not celebrated in Judaism. It's an affront to it. So I just thought you'd find that a little interesting, that we've got mass murderers on all sides, but we don't really hear about them, do we? No, it doesn't fit the narrative. Exactly right. But how would you know about it if you didn't know there was a narrative that could put opposition up to it? And I guess, considering that we're talking Russians, something else popped up on my desk today from an old mate who I haven't seen for a little while. Don't know that he's talking to me too much, but he did want to pass on this message, which I think we'll find
Cossack here. I have now been locked in Sydney's Russian consulate for 1,130 days.
Just want to point out, he can step outside the consulate anytime he wants. He can leave the consulate anytime he wants. He's not locked in it at all. And my understanding is that the people inside the consulate from the Russian government would be very happy to see him walk out. But he's not. Anyway, let's get going.
No sign of giving up. No sign of giving in. Going strong with your support. Shout out to all my supporters out there. Thank you.
Could all his supporters chip together and buy him a shirt, please? Because the topless Aussie Cossack is not a great look. Just saying.
For your support. And to my enemies, I'm going to win. Russia's going to win. We're going to win, and we'll die trying if we have to.
We're going to win. Your enemies, you're going to die trying. Russia's going to win. We're not in a war with Russia. Why are Russia going to win? They're going to win the Ukraine? I would reckon that's always been the case. We're sure about that. Is there going to be a world war? Half a chance of that, I suppose. Could Russia win that? They could certainly put a big dent in America's ideas, that's for sure. It's interesting to note that Russia and China have decided to go to Iran and conduct some naval exercises. Going to be an interesting couple of weeks ahead, folks. Anyway, let's go back to our good mate here at the Cossack.
And if we die trying, our generations after us will win, because we're going to still win anyway. There you go. That's my...
So regardless, Russia's going to win. Bugger Australians. I haven't heard anything about Australia at the moment. But so his message is that Russia's going to win.
Message, okay. 1,130 days. Defiant as ever. Wouldn't mind leaving to Russia. So if the Australian government would like to see Oscar Jenkins in an exchange deal, that would be very nice.
I wouldn't mind leaving for Russia. And if the Australian government would like to see Oscar Jenkins in an exchange deal, that would be very nice. Oscar Jenkins is currently locked up. I think he was fighting for the Ukrainians. I don't think they're sure whether or not he's still alive. He probably is. First of all, Cossack isn't a prisoner of war. The Australian government have nothing to do with swapping him for anybody or anything. So you can pretty much write that idea off. The Cossack is suggesting that he's unable to leave Australia. Aussie Cossack has Russian citizenship. He is currently inside the Russian consulate, which has a number of consulate vehicles, all of which have blue number plates, making them diplomatic. Should the people inside the consulate decide, and should the Aussie Cossack really want to go to Russia, it would be a small matter of packing up what he's been able to accumulate there, put it in one of those aforementioned vehicles, and drive him to the airport put him on a plane under a diplomatic pass and see him off to Russia. No problem. Police can't pull him over with the diplomatic plates. No problem. The Australian government have nothing to do with the Aussie Cossack being where he is. The Australian government have nothing to do with it. The Cossack has simply put himself in there to avoid a court case, which he could see at the time, and I 100% support him in this, that he was going to be railroaded. And he was. But 1,130 odd days, no one cares. All you've really done is take yourself out of the fight, mate. Sadly, you wouldn't have spent 1,130 odd days in jail for what they wanted to charge you for. And that was an assault on a bloke who actually assaulted you. And I would have thought any good criminal lawyer would get you off on appeal in a heartbeat. The fact that they found you guilty without you even having a trial, and that's true, they did. They sprung the whole thing on his lawyer one day when the lawyer happened to be at the court for something else. And, oh, look, the Aussie Cossack was in a police station taking photos of police cars. They can't do that. He can't do that. We're going to lock him up. Naughty man. Well, the Cossack showed them, didn't he? Scarpered off to the consulate and hasn't poked his nose outside since. Although, I don't know that that is the truth. I've heard that he has been seen in the odd restaurant around Sydney late at night occasionally. But if he were caught by police outside there, he would be locked up in a heartbeat, have no doubt. Unless he had diplomatic immunity. He is, after all, been awarded Russian citizenship. He made a big deal of that a little while ago. Over a year ago, I think he got that. Putin gave it to him for services rendered here in Australia. So why won't the Russian consulate put him in a protected car and get him out to the airport and get him home to Mother Russia? I don't know. Got me buggered as well. Got me completely buggered. If he wanted to go, he could go. Doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever. But then again, one could argue that none of this makes any sense. It's just one of those weird kind of shit things that happens in our life. And one of the things that we've got to put up with. That being the case, stay strong, I think, is the best advice I can give you. And good luck to the Cossack. I hope he manages to get to Russia. I don't know that Mrs. Cossack or the new junior Cossack would be terribly happy about spending the rest of their lives there. I know Mrs. Cossack has a lot of people in Sydney, friends, family, that kind of thing. So she's pretty ensconced in Sydney. And I would have thought that Cossack himself was pretty ensconced in Sydney, considering he was born and bred there. So, but at any rate, he has a great desire to go back to Mother Russia. And I would have thought a polite request to the man in charge of the consulate, why don't you just let me pack a suitcase? I'll lie down in the back of the consulate BMW. You can whiz me out to the airport. I'll get on a plane and we'll be gone. It'd all be fixed. But then I wonder what would happen to the audience. Well, the audience is pretty much gone anyway. All right, folks. He will now have to serve in the Russian military. Well, he has already served in the Russian military to a point. He went to school in Moscow for a number of years where he was trained in all things Moscow. Yeah, that's why. Now I'll leave it there. He was trained, put it that way. Spent a bit of time in America where he put some of that training to use, and then came to Australia where he did put it to good use. Yes, there is a Vince. He is sitting in the background punching up things, and if he wants to put his head on, he's more than welcome to. At the moment, he's just showing off his FBN logo to me. So he's very proud of his FBN logo, I think. Here he is. The Waving Wonder comes and joins us. Oh, does he come and join us? There he is. But he hasn't bothered unmuting himself. So it makes it much more difficult to hear him. No, still can't hear you. No. This has gone well, hasn't it? So this is why we have him waving, folks. We don't need him talking. We just have him waving. But but he's around and working hard, and God love him. I don't know where I'd be without him. So he's a marvelous man. All right, folks, I've just had a bit of a look. Maybe we should share. Let me remove something here. This is something you won't have seen in a little while, I've got to say. I haven't seen this in a little while. That is $101 US. So it could be possible that we will break back through $100 US in this drop that's happening at the moment. The price in Australia, in Australian dollars, is 144.21 at the moment. So what would be the advice that I would give you right now, folks? It's pretty simple advice. Buy in the dip. Buy in the dip. And let's just keep watching. So it's going to prove to be an interesting next few hours. But yes, folks, buy in the dip. Thank you, Pipe Master. Buy is the way to go. And, of course, Ainsley Bullion opening hours 9 till 3 from Monday, not 9 till 4. So make sure you get there well before 3 o'clock. Otherwise, you'll be at the end of a very long queue and you won't get in. So 9 till 3 from Monday, all offices around Australia. You can still order online at ainsleyBullion.com.au. It's probably the easiest way to do it and have it sent to you. You don't have to wait in a line. You won't have to wait half a day. Some of the lines are crazy at the moment around the country in Sydney and Melbourne, the Gold Coast and Brisbane. Massive lines. So you can avoid that by, if you're just buying, you can avoid it by buying online at ainsleyBullion.com.au. Don't forget to mention Voice of Freedom or my name in the notes section, and you will get a small discount applied to whatever you buy. It is only small, but nobody else has given you a discount and a better price to buy silver or gold from than Ainsley Bullion through the Voice of Freedom. Thank you very much, folks, for everything that you've done for us in the last however long we've been doing this. We couldn't do it without you. Vince is in timeout. No, Vince isn't in timeout. He's all right. No, he just can't figure out how to make his microphone work. I think that's the biggest issue. Anyway, so thank you to everybody who has been such great support for us. And we do have some exciting things we're going to be bringing to you in the not too distant future. We're madly trying to rustle things together and put some lipstick on them and paint them up so they look pretty so we can present them to you. But all of that and more in the not too distant future. If you're going out on the weekend, then stay out of the sun if it's going to be really sunny where you are. Stay out of the rain if it's going to be really rainy where you are. And most of all, stay out of the way of the dickheads on the road, because bugger me, they are absolutely everywhere. Have a great weekend.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. You let...
Geez, I couldn't have buggered that up better if I'd have tried, could I? I tell you what, because I buggered it up, I am going to play you one thing that I probably should have played you before and forgot that I was going to play you. So this has happened rather fortuitously. I want you to watch this TV ad for McDonald's very closely. You see that? Here, kids, come and get this. I should have put the sound on. I beg your pardon. There's a hamburger. There are the chips. Aren't the chips oh so nice? They're beautiful chips. Oh, McDonald's, they're wonderful, aren't they? I love it. And look at that. Out pops a kid out of the bag. You would be marketing your hamburger and your chips to the children on the other side of the TV. If you were going to use them in the ad, they wouldn't be popping out of the bag. They'd be playing with them, eating them, running around. What you're being shown there is that there are children in a McDonald's bag after they talk about the hamburger and the chips. Could it have just been a really weird and sick bit of advertising from back in the day? Maybe. Could it be actually telling us a lot more?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!